everyone, and welcome back to my doll collecting channel. So I was looking at my YouTube analytics the other day and I realized that a lot of people are searching my channel trying to find information on the latest American Girl controversy. And I've seen people asking the following questions. Is American Girl teaching girls to mutilate their bodies? Is American Girl going woke? Or is American Girl teaching children that being trans is perfectly normal? On December 8th, Fox News posted an article with the following headline: Genius is an American Girl pushing transitioning for Christmas because being a girl may not be smart. Sounds pretty extreme, but let's read it first and then I'll give my opinions. Now, before we get into the article, I just want to mention that this article jumps all over the place and I feel like it's very poorly written, so I have a hard time understanding their point. But let's just read it and then I will break it down for you. So, news that American Girl franchise has a smart girl's guide for avoiding caring adults and leaving childhood behind permanently has Christmas shoppers' parents like myself confused. And by myself, they mean the person who wrote this article, not me. At a time of economic severity for many families, just what makes moms and dads put down hard-earned money for expensive and girly product made by a company that want girls to know they might not be good as they are. The company's latest book, titled Smart Girl's Guide, Body Image, is marketed at girls aged 3 to 12, which I found that was incorrect, but I'll talk about that after this article. Encourages children to talk with doctors if they're questioning their gender identity. It's hard to say that the marketing geniuses in American Girl doll company were thinking as they released a 96-page paperback written by the company's content development editor, Mel Hammond, pushing puberty blockers to a cohort of girls willing to buy the absolute flibbery of American Girl fashion. But implied in the smart title of the book is the message that is a stupid choice too. Then the article goes on to referencing a different book about climate change, which I'll talk about later, but it doesn't seem to be relevant to the whole body image issue. So I don't understand why they went on this tangent and this paragraph talking about this problematic climate change book. But we have these two paragraphs here talking about the Earth book, the climate change book. And then we finally get to the image that they're talking about. So I'm going to be zooming in. It's going to be really blurry because the image they uploaded is really blurry and you have a hard time reading it, but I'm going to read it out loud and that way you understand what it's saying, even if you can't read it because it's very blurry. So the first paragraph is titled Gender Joy. Messages about how bodies should look are different depending on a person's gender. Girls tend to face more pressure to have bodies that are thin bodies and long hair and wear clothes like skirts, dresses, and blouses. Boys tend to feel more pressure to have a masculine body, keeping their hair short, wear pants and shorts. Luckily, it's not your job to look the way people expect. It's your job to be you. The way you show gender to the world through clothes and behavior is gender expression. Your gender expression can be feminine, masculine, or somewhere in between, and it might change. Maybe you'll experiment with bright dresses and long feminine hairstyles, or maybe try baggy shorts, plaid shirts, and a buzzed haircut. Your gender expression should make you feel at home in your body. Gender expression is what you show on the outside. Gender identity is how you feel on the inside. A girl, boy, or someone who doesn't quite fit either category. When a baby is born, a doctor looks at the baby's body parts to assign its sex, whether the baby is female or male. Most kids grow up feeling comfortable in the sex the doctors assign them. This kind of person is cisgender. But for some, that assigned sex doesn't match who they are on the inside. A kid who is assigned as male might know herself to be a girl on the inside. For example, someone whose gender is different from the sex they're assigned with at birth is transgender. Some people don't feel like a girl or a boy on the inside, which is totally okay. People in this group are usually called non-binary and might use pronouns like they instead of he or she. And then after this image, we have another paragraph talking about the climate change issue, which I don't fully understand, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then we finally have a quote talking about the body image issue, which states, "Having an American Girl company undermines girls by telling them it might not be that great to grow up as a woman. It's a little like having a rent a Santa showing up drunk to a kid's party yelling about the commercialization of Christmas. It just doesn't fit the image." And it claims that American Girl dolls were more for girly girls, as the saying goes. And there was nothing wrong with that up until now, apparently. And I do want to know where they're getting this source, but I'll talk about that at the very end of this video, because some of the early American Girls were not girly girls. Some of them, like Felicity, liked to wear pants and ride horses and do sports and go on adventures. And they had friends, like in Felicity's case, Elizabeth, who liked really pink and girly things, but Felicity herself, not too much. She actually struggled in the classes to become more ladylike. There is something a bit backwards in telling a little girl that she can do anything she wants, be anything she wants, unless she wants to be a little girl in a pink dress. That it's a part of a bigger issue if she doesn't feel comfortable in the kind of over-the-top frills of the American Girl doll franchise. It's not for everyone. Then they go on to include this quote. Philosopher and organizational expert Charles Handy writes, "The moment we arrive when you are comfortable who you are and what you are, bald or old, fat or poor, successful or struggling, when you don't feel the need to apologize for anything or to deny anything, to be comfortable in your own skin is the beginning of strength." And personally, I agree with this quote, but I feel like that's what American Girl was saying in the paragraph, that being who you are, especially if that's not being, overly feminine, is okay. And if you're feminine, which American Girl said in the paragraph was also okay, they said just use your gender expression the way you want to. That's what the paragraph said. So I feel like this quote feels like, I don't know. I feel like the quote more agrees with what the American Girl paragraph is saying than what this person is saying. So yeah, that was the end of the article from Fox News. Yes, it was very disjointed. It was all over the place. It was hard to get to the point that they were actually trying to say, but I tried my best to make it as clear as possible. So let's examine some questions I still have after reading this article. Where does American Girl state that they are encouraging girls to transition for Christmas? The title of this article states, "Geniuses in American Girl are pushing transitioning for Christmas because being a girl might not be smart." Nowhere in the paragraph does American Girl say being trans is a perfect holiday gift. I don't really understand what being trans has to do with Christmas, but it feels odd that Fox News is trying to make this a Christmas issue when I really don't understand how it could be. In the article, it states that the children who are reading this book are between the ages of 3 and 12. And what's their source for this? Not the American Girl website or Amazon. Amazon says that this book is for children ages 7 to 11, so don't worry, your 3-year-old won't be reading this. Also, people do forget that 3-year-olds can't read, and don't try to say that your 3-year-old is a genius who can. I used to work in a toy store, and it felt like every parent that came in claimed that their child was a genius. Then when you talk to their child, they don't even know what country they live in or even how to spell their name. 3-year-olds won't be reading this paragraph, and even if they theoretically could, they wouldn't have the comprehension skills to understand it. So I don't understand why Fox News is getting upset at the possibility that a 3-year-old might be exposed to this information, when this book is really not meant for 3-year-olds. It is meant for children who are between the ages of 7 and 11. Next question is, what does climate change have to do with any of this? In the article, it stops talking about the body image issue and starts talking about a different book that discusses climate change and how the book Love the Earth, also in the Smart Girls Guide collection, was problematic since it is about understanding climate change, speaking up for solutions, and living an earth-friendly life. Is this a bad thing? I have no idea, because it just drops the fact in, doesn't explain why this is good or bad, or how it relates to the body image issue. It's like a lazy way to keep the viewer on the page to view more ads. And I really fail to see how this point is relevant, but yeah, it probably takes about a quarter of the article talking about this climate change book. After these strange paragraphs, it goes into the body image issue again, showing the picture that I read from before, the 2 pages from the book. It was also really blurry, the images, so I was wondering if they thought that nobody was going to actually stop and read the paragraph, or if they purposely made it blurry so you wouldn't read the paragraph. After the image, it shares the following quote: "Having the American Girl company undermine girls by telling them it might not be great to grow up to be a woman is like having a Rent-a-Santa showing up drunk to a kid's party, yelling about the commercialization of Christmas. It just doesn't fit the image." I just want to know, in the 2 pages of the book, where does it say that? To me, it says you can wear whatever you want, and it's up to you to decide your own personal style. And I have 2 points about this. My first point is that, quote-unquote, tomboys have existed for probably forever, but for simplicity's sake, let's say the last 100 years. Every generation that could possibly watching this video knows of a girl who dresses in traditional male clothing or likes traditional male things like sports and cars. Have they been hurting people? No. Has people had a problem with them? No. They have existed in school playgrounds and workplaces for all generations that could possibly watch this video. Now, I'm not saying that these tomboys are trans. Sometimes they grow up to be, but other times they don't, and they just do what they want. But saying all girls want to be pink and girly is a lie. A lot do, but I guarantee you know girls who don't. Or it is a spectrum. Some girls like girly stuff, but not all of it, not all the time, or not every day. American Girl is saying it is okay not to be a girly girl, which, guess what? People have been saying for decades now. It is nothing new. I guarantee that most girls watching this video like one masculine thing. A common one is wearing pants. Does wearing pants make you trans? No, not by itself. Is women wearing pants a bad thing? No. We've been doing it for generations and we've turned out just fine. My second point is American Girl says some people feel like they're trans and non-binary, and never does it say that these people are somehow superior. It literally says that nowhere. So I don't understand why Fox News is saying that it's telling girls that being a girl is not smart. It never says that being a woman is a bad idea. It literally says it's up to you what you want to be. And shocker, you shouldn't live to impress others or do what others expect you to do. If you honestly think people go around caring about you more than themselves, you haven't lived enough. People have their own lives and own stresses, and they don't care what you are wearing. And if they do, it's in passing in like a couple seconds and it's over. Therefore, you shouldn't make decisions based on fearing what other people think of you. It's strange for a news source that claims to be all about freedom, since they really do freak out when someone exercises that freedom. People can go to the store and buy any clothes they want. It's called free market capitalism. And that is freedom, and that is America. If people want to grow up to be a woman, that's their choice. If they want to live their true selves and be trans, that's also their choice. Now, Fox News posted a different article on the same day, December 8th, which is titled American Girl Accused of Gaslighting Children with a Book About Gender Identity and Transitioning. Now, I find this really weird. We'll get into the article in a moment, but I find it really weird that they post 2 very, very similar articles on the exact same day. They didn't even space it out, so it's not like new information came out and they posted like an update article. They posted pretty much the exact same things, but with a different screenshot from the same book. Again, I apologize for this image being very blurry, but Fox News again posted a really blurry image of this article. It's almost impossible, or this paragraph in the book. It's very hard to read, but I'm trying my best, so hopefully you'll understand most of it, even though you can't really read what it's saying. So I'm just going to read it out loud the best that I can. Being transgender is not an illness or something to be ashamed of. If you're questioning your gender identity, or if you already know for sure that you're trans or non-binary, talk with an adult you trust, like a parent or a school counselor. And that person can connect you specifically with a trained doctor who can help you and your family decide what's best for your body. At first, you and the doctor might talk about wearing clothes and using pronouns like her, she, or him. I can't quite read, but I think I see she and they for sure. That makes you feel almost like true you. If you haven't gone through puberty yet, the doctors might offer you medicine to delay your body's changes, giving you more time to think about your gender identity. If you've gone through puberty, a doctor can still help. Studies have shown that transgender and non-binary kids who get help from doctors have a much better mental health than those who don't. If you don't have an adult you can trust, there's organizations across the country that can help you. Turn to the resources on page 55, 95 for more information. Now, after reading that, let's break it down. Point out to me where it says that it says to go against your parents. It is legally and physically impossible to transition without a parent's consent in the United States or in Canada and probably the rest of the world. A child can't go through surgery without a parent signing off. So, also in America, who's gonna pay for it? Fox News is making it appear that somehow children can go behind their parents' back and get these surgeries and medications. How? Children don't have jobs and they can't pay for it. Do people not realize that transitioning costs around $30,000? And you can definitely buy a car for that amount of money. And depending on where you live, that's like a down payment on a house. I doubt that a child would have that kind of money laying around. My key question is, where do people think that a kid would be able to get these funds? Posting about dolls on their YouTube? That's a joke because that's what I do and I definitely don't make that much money. So to answer the question, has American Girl gone woke? I hate the term woke with a passion because it makes it sound like being aware of your surroundings is a bad thing. Like, sorry I give a shit about other people. Like, I feel like we live in a dystopian society to say that being knowledgeable and having compassion is a negative. But American Girl being woke is not a new thing. Let me rapid fire some examples of wokeness that have appeared in American Girl, written in the characters since the company's creation in 1986. Samantha talked about child labor and the horrible factory conditions her friend and later sister Nellie had to face. Kirsten was a Swedish immigrant who didn't speak English. Molly's story showed the horrors of war, and in her movie, you can see her teacher receiving the news that her fiancé was killed in the war. Also, this shows the stress children in militaries face when their family members are sent to war. Felicity wanted to wear pants and ride horses during the colonial times, so during the Revolutionary War. Cecile was a rich black girl living in New Orleans when there was still black slaves around the country. Her story was set in 1853, a decade before the Civil War ended. Addie was a slave, and in her story, her family gets separated. Rebecca's family is Jewish, and her parents are Russian immigrants. Claudia's stories talk about housing inequality for black Americans during the 1920s, and how rent was charged at a higher rate for black people in New York City. Mary Ellen had polio before the vaccines and struggles to run and do other activities. She also has to deal with wanting to be herself in a culture of keeping up with the Joneses that forces her to conform and claim that conforming is freedom. Melody is around during the Civil Rights Movement, which should be self-explanatory. Julie's parents are divorced, and she's fighting to play on the boys' basketball team because the girls aren't allowed to play and have their own team. Courtney's mother is running for mayor, something that is very unique in the 1980s and still is today. If you think American Girl has just recently become woke, you have been asleep this whole time. They've been encouraging girls to break gender norms since 1986. Before they existed, the only dolls that were available were baby dolls, which focused on girls being mothers, or Barbie, which taught girls they should aspire to be adults. American Girl taught girls to focus on themselves and children between the ages of 8 and 12, which was American Girl's target market for years. And children between the ages of 8 and 12 are going through gender questions. A sign of intelligence is asking questions because we learn and grow from the answers. Even if a child doesn't ask these questions about themselves, they might have a classmate, sibling, or relative going through these issues, and discussing these issues give them context to understanding the other people in their lives better so they can be better friends, siblings, and classmates. Pretending that trans people don't exist is not going to stop them from encountering trans people. They are everywhere. we shouldn't be hiding children from the realities of the world. Kids don't stay kids forever. Kids have their own thoughts, feelings, and questions about the world, and lying to yourself isn't going to change that reality. In short, I, Sophia, from Just Dream Studios, support trans people and the people of the LGBTQ community. I believe we should focus on someone's actions over identity and outward appearance. Good people come in all different shapes and sizes, and I believe everyone has a right to be themselves as long as they're not hurting anybody. Also, if you leave a hate comment, you are just giving me more content to make another video, which makes me more ad revenue, which makes me rich. So how does it feel supporting a liberal gay woman? You watched this video to this point, you can't go back and unwatch it. No hate comment is going to take that away. So deal with that, homophobes. I'm gonna leave some trans resources for my trans babes in the description. Okay, love you, happy holidays, and I'll see you all next time.